I'd like to talk a lot longer about the international scene, but we've only got so much time. And the local scene is a cause, obviously, of great concern locally, because Jersey as a finance centre, like little finance centres all around the world, is beginning to struggle. They're all chasing the same money, basically, and it's getting harder and harder. And that's why they're having to look to different places to raise the traditional funds that they've come in here. You wrote a paper, or what I noticed on one of your blogs, about a plan B.
Yes.
There is an alternative. There might be a way that Jersey could turn its business round and make it ethically acceptable and prosperous. Could you just say a word on that?
Well, people challenged me for a long time. You criticise Jersey. What can Jersey do? Now, in the long run, I am not sure that finance in Jersey will eventually be compatible. And I'm quite honest about that. I'm not convinced that they will eventually be compatible. But if you look at Jersey now, its strengths, the environment it has created is where finance dominates. And so in a marketing sense, you have some very clear choices. You can sell the existing products to existing customers, but frankly that market is saturated. You can sell the existing products to new customers, but actually the existing products are becoming increasingly unacceptable to regulators around the world. There is a demand for transparency, there is a demand for reform of Jersey's tax system, there is a demand to remove the tax haven incentives that exist, and they are going to change the products that are available, so you can't sell them to new customers. At the moment, Jersey has a real problem creating new industry because it's become so finance dependent that we can't just suddenly say let's create an aerospace industry in Jersey or whatever you might wish, or even just revive tourism by itself, because the transition is going to be over a period of time. So my suggestion was the classic one of selling a new product to existing customers. The existing customers are for finance. The new product is quite simply this one, which Jersey tells me that there's a demand for, which is to prevent double taxation. A low or no tax jurisdiction, which is what Jersey is in many senses, but where it is designed purely to prevent international double, to stay in a finance industry in here for quite a long time to come, whilst Jersey also has to sit down and say, in the long run, what are we going to do? Because it's not clear that offshore finance is sustainable.
You were right about 010, so it's quite likely that you'll be right about such issues as you're discussing, but just a moment, the Isle of Man has got a similar problems with Jersey. Guernsey's got similar problems with Jersey about the money is not there anymore. They had some golden years, but it's not. I mean, just within that little 3 territories, very close, could they all offer the same transparency? Is there enough meat on the bone, as they say?
I'm being quite clear. The one who takes first mover advantage, the one who actually moves to create some certainty. And remember, right now, each of those jurisdictions has got a failed corporate tax system. If corporate tax is fundamental to a tax haven, and it certainly has been, each of them having a failed corporate tax system in the sense that the EU has not approved it and has demanded the UK make sure they are reformed, that creates massive uncertainty. The uncertainty that creates will drive finance business away from Jersey, Guernsey and the Isle of Man while they leave that uncertainty in place. Because the one thing that every accountant, every lawyer and every banker says they want is certainty. Well, that's the one thing that these places can't provide right now. The one who takes first mover advantage and says we're going to reform of our own free will, we're going to deliver a product which is unique, is going to get the advantage. Are all of them going to be able to do this? No. Let's be clear. Jersey, Guernsey and the Isle of Man share a common problem. They cannot raise the money to meet the expectations of their local populations. They cannot raise money whilst they're not charging tax on the transactions that are going through their locations. And there is going to be a situation where for one or more of those jurisdictions, things are going to end in tears. In other words, they are not going to eventually be viable as independent states offering low tax or no tax to most of their international clientele. So they've got to reform. It's just a matter of who has the courage to do so first.
From your impartial standpoint, which of those three jurisdictions is in the most precarious situation?
Because Jersey is so dependent on finance, it is in quite a difficult position. Because the Isle of Man actually is in an odd position of getting a lot of its income from VAT even now, and VAT rates are going up in the UK, it might just have been given a lifeline because their tax revenues have gone up, because the UK's tax revenues have gone up, even though their revenue sharing agreement with the UK is fundamentally different. Because Guernsey has traditionally shown a lack of willing to be innovator, even though at the moment it's said it will comply with the European requirements, but also because it has a much smaller business. I think of the three, the most vulnerable is in fact Jersey, because it has the biggest deficit, it has the biggest finance industry, it has the highest profile, it is the one which is going to be most targeted, and therefore Jersey is the one who's also got the most to gain by taking first mover advantage to move on. Will they? I don't know. The feedback I get is that Jersey will move at the speed of a glacier about reform. If that's the case, Jersey's in deep trouble. It's going to need people of vision to actually see that there is a way forward in this island at the moment, and I hope there are people of vision here who can deliver that new way forward, because I like this island and I like the people who I've met here. But right now, the politicians don't seem to be embracing this.
Jersey is suddenly waking up to things like online gambling. It's got a fulfilment industry, which is just a little quirk of the UK VAT rules they're able to manipulate. It's quite a multi-million pound business, very useful for Jersey, rather harmful for people in the UK. Are those sort of activities, do you think, have they got a long-term future? Is that...
Well, if anybody wants to base their business on gambling, I'm sorry, but we are talking about this and faith, and I'm afraid I have real problems with gambling. I don't think you should take the shirt off a man's back, and that's what that industry does. I think that's a disreputable way to run any economy, and if that's what people see as the future of Jersey, that really does say very little about its credibility, and I think the world would see that too. The fulfilment industry is a plain straightforward tax avoidance squeeze. It's nothing else. It breaches EU requirements, and I do believe that we will be seeing legal action arising to ensure that EU requirements are imposed upon the UK, who has so far failed in this sense to actually uphold the situation that product is quite blatantly leaving the UK, coming here to go back again. Now, that round tripping is not allowed under EU law, it's happening, and so in that sense I'm sure that that industry has a year or two at most before it closes down. And I mean, I'm well aware that legal moves to close it down are taking place, so fulfilment is a dead duck. Gambling is an appalling way to try and do it. No, those are not the future of Jersey. Jersey's got to look at something much, much more radical than that.
Gibraltar has got one foot in the European Union. Is that an option which you see might be in any way helpful for these three territories?
I know that there are some people in Jersey who talk about independence as being the future. I can't see it. I know that there are people who say Jersey's fine because it could raise GST. I can't see the local population being able to afford to support that. They say Jersey's fine because it could borrow money. Yes, but it will start borrowing money when it's actually run out of all other options, and people don't lend to people who've run out of options. They're very, very poor people to lend money to. So Jersey is heading up the wrong channel at the moment. Candidly, it needs friends. I don't think the UK is going to be who they want to partner with in the long term, although I think the UK would be forced, if it had to bail it out. I suspect a partnership with the EU is critical to the long-term future of Jersey. I think Jersey will be wise to heed what the EU is saying now, to try to work with the EU rather than against it, and it still is trying to clearly work against it. For example, with regard to the Code of Conduct, where frankly it's still trying to get around the rules, because at the end of the day, if Jersey needs money to assist this transition to a new economy, and I believe it will, because just as coal mining died in a great many parts of the UK, and money was needed to help those areas transition to new economies, which is beginning to happen, but 20 years after that industry died, now Jersey needs to look at how and where does it get the investment funds from to actually invest in that new economy. The EU is the best hope it's got. I wouldn't be upsetting the EU now if I was a Jersey politician. I think that would be biting the hand that's likely to feed me in the future.
A slightly silly but a serious question. Do you think prayer would help?
Prayer is an opportunity for contemplative thought. Prayer is the time when you actually sit back and try to be open to the leadings that come to you. I believe that's what prayer is. It is about being honest, removing your predisposition to your own thought and letting insight come to you from, if you're a person of faith, God, and other people would say that is a meditative process. I can't explain that. I believe it's God, but I don't mind if others put it elsewhere. Yes, in that sense, what is obviously needed is a new vision. What is needed is that openness to thought, that openness to new leadings, to a new direction. And Jersey's path has led it to a difficult place right now. And Jersey needs to find that new path.
Thank you much indeed.
Mark.